Tottenham Hotspur have appointed Thomas Frank as their new head coach.
And the consistency and the players know the patterns. But of course I'm aware that we need to be flexible sometimes.
You look what Thomas Frank has done over the course of 7 highly successful years, you can understand why Tottenham would be interested.
Welcome into the Tottenham Depot. I am your host, Andrew, and you can follow me at A Stetka. You can follow us at Tottenham Depot. This is episode 262. And I see my man Todd on the other line here, nodding his head in disapproval of that intro music, because it is starting to grow a little bit thin. He is at TC_show. Todd, what's up, my friend?
You know, any day, brother, that you can get on and vent your frustrations after the fuckery that was witnessed is a good fucking day. It's good to see you. Glad you're doing well. Happy holidays and all those things. But yeah, dude, we're gonna need a new intro. This is rough. That's a rough listen.
Somebody tell Scott, get started on it now.
I mean, we did win a European trophy last year. Like, maybe we throw some of those clips in the intro. I don't know. Hey, you know what? Reach out to us. Let us at Tottenham Depot. Let us know what you think. What type of stuff do we need in our intro? We want to hear from you.
You know what the best part is? I will actually have to inform Scott about this conversation because there's no chance in hell that he's listening. We are
Shout
here
to Scotty
to talk about some Tottenham Hotspur this week. There was a European match, of course, that we'll get into. There was whatever the hell happened at the City Ground. And there was also whatever the hell happened up in Manchester for Spurs Women yesterday. We're going to get into a little bit of that one as well. Some news and notes. We'll open up the notebook as well. Todd, let's start with the European match that happened last Tuesday in N17. It was, of course, the great return of Heung-min Son and a lovely night, and Spurs win 3-0. This was a weird match because Spurs didn't actually score any goals. I mean, they did. They scored 3 of them, but they didn't really. They scored 2 penalties, and honestly, the best finish of the night came from Zima. On the header, the own goal header. I mean, that was an incredible finish. Unfortunately, it wasn't what he was trying to do, although it certainly looked like it. Spurs scored 3 times, and I was like, thumbs up, cool, pretty comfortable victory. But even coming out of this one, I still felt like, all right, that was that, and we just move on.
Well, yes. I mean, listen, it just shows how shit Brentford are right now, I guess is the best way to put it. But
and Slavia Prague, for that matter.
Well, as far as Slavia Prague are concerned, they are who we thought they were, right? Like, this isn't. We're not having a conversation about Manchester City, of the Czech Republic. Like, it's Slavia Prague. Like, we're there. I'm not going to say it's a Europa League competition, but it's early tier UCL stuff. Like, we are who they thought they were. You know what I mean?
Well, look, we had this conversation a little bit earlier in the week amongst all of us in our WhatsApp group. Like, I think that it's not outlandish to say Spurs should walk these types of teams. There's been an expansion of the Champions League, and that's going to mean lesser teams are involved in the Champions League. And you can kind of revert back to last season when Spurs won the Europa League, because for part of the Europa League, they got to face lesser competition because the Europa League was also expanded. Like, these are just facts.
And there weren't drop-down teams from the Champions League
exactly.
like there happened in the past. So
right.
It's, yes, it's a little watered down, and with the new format, you're going to see, like, you see draws. Even in the old format, like, one of the teams in your group was usually pretty shit. You know what I mean? And so, I'm not, no disrespect to Slavia Prague, but also fuck those guys. And so, I don't know, dude, you're supposed to beat teams like this 3-0 at home when your fucking legend comes back, right? Like, Javi scored in front of Sonny with his name or with his number on his back, and what greater tribute to the guy that you're trying to recognize. I felt the Sonny tribute was a little rushed, but I love Sonny. So
when you
I
say
get to
legend
see him
coming back, you're not talking about Ben Davis, you're talking about Sonny?
Listen, there were some pictures that may have made my guy Andrew tear up of Sonny and a resurgence from the grave Ben Davies back on the pitch for Tottenham Hotspur as a viable member of our squad.
You know what's really funny? I was so happy to see Ben Davis trot out onto the pitch. Of course, Sonny in attendance and gets to see his buddy go out there and make his first appearance of the season. I certainly did not expect to see Ben Davis again so soon as we did in the Forest match. And I guess it's just proof that this team doesn't have any depth at fullback right now. But boy, oh boy, like I'm not trying to move us on to Forest right away, but like Ben Davis is the rotation right now at fullback, and that's kind of scary.
We don't have a left back in other than the right back that's currently playing left back for us, man. Yeah, isn't that good, Andrew? I don't know. Maybe we recall Jamie Donnelly. I mean, he's not really getting any time. Like, I don't know. It's hard to watch Ben Davies play left back in the Premier League ever, but especially now. I know you love your guy Ben Davies, and shout to that guy. He's been with us a long, long time, and I love the fact that he got to win a trophy with us last year. But also, you should be playing for Wrexham. Like, it's time.
Would be cool. Would be cool. The only other thing I wanted to touch on from this game was the little bit of controversy, I guess you could call it, where Spurs moved their pride flag from where it normally sits in the stadium at the, I guess, request, but you could also call it threat or demand of Slavia Prague, in fear, I guess, of what their fans may or may not do to the flag. Look, I'll just, peel back the curtain here. You and I had a lengthy conversation about this prior to hit and record. We don't need to spend a lot of time on it. I just thought that it was the wrong decision. And I think that Spurs kind of bowed down to something that they didn't need to do. I think it's a disappointment for a lot of the LGBTQ plus fans of this club. And I understand that you want to mitigate all risk. You don't want an incident happening in the stadium. Trust me, I totally get that. Nobody wants to see that. But I just it sends a weird and I think wrong message to fans of the club when you're, allowing visitors to come in and dictate what you put up in your stadium. I just thought that was not a great look from the club.
Yeah, I obviously agree that could have been handled better. Obviously, there's no two ways about LGBTQ plus rights. Like, we absolutely stand for them and want to do everything to protect them. Unfortunately, being in business as long as I have, I can also understand the decision that the club made from a risk mitigation standpoint. That's not to say in any way, shape, or form that I agree with the decision that the club made to move the flag. It was still visible for spectators at the game. Though I guess from what you were saying, it wasn't nearly as visible on television, which is obviously a point of contention. But yeah, obviously you can't defend the indefensible, but also when I live in a world where I see business decisions that I disagree with made on a regular basis, like, I also recognize how things kind of work. So,
it's unfortunately something we're seeing a lot of these days with
facts.
Regimes
So
taking
anyway,
over. It sucks. But
indeed,
the other thing I'll mention too is that we talked about it, and we have talked about it. Matisse Tell was finally added to the Champions League squad in replacing Dom Solanke, and got his chance to appear in this match for Spurs, coming off the bench. Which I'm glad that happened. Thomas Frank had kind of alluded to that. If he knew that Dom Solanke was going to be out for as long as he has, he probably would have done this sooner. But I'm just glad that Tell will get the opportunity to play in the final two group stage matches of the Champions League come 2026, and we'll move on from there and hope that Dom Solanke makes his way back in for when Spurs inevitably do play matches beyond the group stage, because let's be honest, that is happening. They're going to get through because of what we talked about, a very watered down Champions League field.
Dude, I've heard some wild accusations about things that are actually going on with Dom Solanke. I can't speak to them. in any way, shape, or form, but simply to say that there's a lot of people with a lot of knowledge around that club, and it's rare that you see a situation handled like Dom Solanke's situation's been handled without good reason. So
it has certainly
anyway,
been strange. Let's get into the Forest match. Not that I really want to.
I don't want to.
It just didn't. This was such a step backward, I thought, for Thomas Frank mostly, because I think that he has started to instill something within his players that is way too conservative. And we've talked about this pragmatism and this balance that Frank has tried to strike with this club, of course, coming off of a team that was all gas, no brakes, and trying to bring a little bit of the brakes into play. I think we've officially gone too far with that now after watching this, because this match, to me, all it told me was that this team was being taught that conservatism and pragmatism, or whatever tism you want to use, is the way, and it is sapping a lot of the attacking onus for the players that are supposed to be doing the attacking. We praised Xavi Simons for his play in recent weeks, and he's really started to come on. He was god-awful in this game, and I don't even really think it's because he was playing god-awfully. It was the team around him, and just there's no impetus to go forward right now.
Well,
and I think that's a coaching problem.
I 100% agree that it's a coaching problem. I thought Xavi Simons, despite his faults, was actually probably the best player on the pitch for us at Nottingham Forest. We were fucking terrible. We were truly, truly awful. And because of that, even your good players look shit on days when everybody is truly awful. We didn't get off the bus, man. They had us beat from the moment that the first whistle blew. We got out-coached before we ever stepped on the pitch. And when you get out-coached by Sean Dyche, it's time to fucking go, Andrew. It's time to go.
It does feel like inevitable at this point.
What are we doing? No one knows. The fans don't know. The players don't know. I've called Thomas Frank an AP history teacher, and I think that is the kind of pinnacle of who he is. You know what I mean? But on his worst days, dude, he is a mad scientist, and he just can't stop tinkering, and it's fucking terrible. It's every time it's awful. I don't look at anything that he's doing and say this is going to result in something positive. Like, at best, I can say, this isn't likely to result in anything horrible. But then when you fucking let Vicario kick the ball basically into his own net, we find ourselves in a situation where, you're in quicksand quickly, Andrew.
It does feel that way, for sure. And you brought his name up. I'll just, I'm Todd. You know me. You've known me for what, close to a decade now. It feels like.
Yeah.
I'm not one to pat myself on the back. If you're watching on YouTube right now, I believe I had this. I believe that I have been a number one Vicario doubter, and we are now all seeing the evidence of what I have frankly feared, because it's not something I've wanted. I haven't wanted Guglielmo Vicario to stink. I've just thought he was not at this level. And the mistakes that we've seen from him in recent weeks, including on Sunday at the City Ground against Nottingham Forest, are single-handedly losing this team matches. Like, he is single-handedly destroying. Look, it's bad enough that the defending is not great in front of him, and that's partially why I think we like to praise Vicario a lot, because he is an elite shot stopper. And part of what we get to see is him stopping phrase. A lot. Well, right. But here's my point.
I'll tell you why in a minute.
We get to see it a lot because of our abhorrent defending at most times. So we get to see him have to be an elite shot stopper at times. So that makes him look much better than he is. He has terrible distribution, terrible positioning, and terrible presence in between the pipes. And
Okay.
I am done watching it, frankly. And
So,
the scary part is I don't think there's a better option right now.
well, I've heard tell that they're trying to make a January move for James Trafford from Man City, and I would take that in a fucking heartbeat. I
I
don't
would give
think
it three
Anthony,
thumbs up, and I don't have a third thumb.
I don't think Anthony Kinski is quite ready yet.
No,
I think
I
his
don't think.
distribution, like his play with his feet, is fantastic, but his reaction saves, and that's what Vicario is great at, as we talked about. It's reaction saves. But my issue is the save numbers look good because he gets to a lot of balls, but he spills fucking everything. The man cannot catch.
Hmm.
And that's when you say what you want to say about Hugo Lloris, is that Hugo held on to a lot of things that most keepers would palm away. And that's the type of thing that like separates, in my opinion, that separates even those with great reflex save ability like Vicario from world class elite goalkeepers is when Allison goes for a save, the ball sticks to his gloves. When Donnarumma goes for a save, the ball sticks to his gloves. Like that's why Donnarumma plays in front of fucking Vicario. Like anyway, if we want to compete, we have to find a guy that can be the guy. And Vicario will always be part of our history, but he's not the
But that's the thing. He needs to be part of our history at this point because I cannot continue. I want to talk about the first goal that a lot of people are obviously, and I think somewhat rightfully, throwing on Archie Gray because he lost the ball after receiving the pass from Vicario.
guy.
However,
Vicario should have never fucking passed him the ball in the first place, Andrew.
you're finishing my sentences, and it's right. Well, and here's the thing: it is a when you go back and watch that play, it is a pretty common action that the keeper will put the ball into the midfielder in that spot, and the midfielder will then hit a one-time pass out wide to Romero or to Porro, and that's what should have happened there. But what didn't happen is, one, Vicario hit a bad pass that was hard to handle for Gray, and two, there was no communication on the part of Vicario to where the ball should be going. Gray
What?
had to take
And
a touch because the pass was so bad, and then didn't know what to do, and didn't know that there was someone right on his back shoulder either.
He had a better outlet to his right if he just picked his fucking head up and looked. Like we had a better option than Archie Gray. There were multiple players in the box, like in that general vicinity. Like there were so many reasons. Just hold the ball for a second if you're not sure. There's no reason to rush in that moment with pressure. I don't know, dude. I was very unhappy with how we set up. I thought it was defensive. We kept trying to play out of the back and didn't like we got caught in our own half multiple times with sloppy play. Like I thought Archie Gray was bad today. And I think that to be fair, I think that when he plays with Bentancur, it's you get a mixed bag.
Well, and that's the guy I actually wanted to talk about next is Bentancur, because part of the problem I saw in this match too was when that first goal happened. It's obviously a devastating mistake. It's something that Archie Gray, you could see just in his face, he just sunk into the ground. You could tell he knew that he had made a mistake that led directly to a goal. And granted, I personally am putting a lot more of that on Vicario than Gray, and I think some will agree, some will disagree. But regardless of who you think was at fault, Archie Gray was down after that. Shoulders slumped, body language poor, and his midfield partner, Rodrigo Bentancur, is not. He's supposed to be a leader. He's supposed to be a guy that is getting a long-term contract and is a stalwart in this team. He's frankly, at this point, he's one of the most longest tenured Spurs, and he does nothing to help young Archie Gray along in this match. In fact, he does the detriment of that. He just takes the ball and heaves it forward at times. He does nothing to progress the ball like you should through a midfield. And I continue to say this about Bentancur. I think he's a massive part of this midfield's problem, is having a player like him basically lead it. And I think this, like, honestly, at this point with this midfield, especially when I'm excluding James Madison, Kulusevski, even Xavi Simons. I think he's going to turn out fine. I'm excluding those types of players, but like I just kind of just want to see Archie Gray and Lucas Bergvall And I'm kind of even wishy-washy on Pop Sar at this point because I just haven't seen what Pop Sar is going to
Dude,
bring.
he started. I'm so pissed at Thomas Frank.
For
Popstar
not playing
started
him
the
enough,
season.
right?
Dude, Popstar started the season on fire. He's gone to AFCON, right? Like, so I mean, we'll see.
But
when he gets
everyone
back.
else in this midfield, I'm just ready to push out the door and start fresh.
I don't know, dude. I think like Paulinho is a rotational six to bring in to shut down games, and like he's got 2 yellow cards in his pocket for the last 30 minutes of the match. Like, I think that's a very valuable asset. I think we miss a guy, and we talked about this beforehand. We miss a guy like Yves Bissouma, not necessarily for who Yves Bissouma is, but for what Yves Bissouma is capable of. And there are certain matches that have called out for a carrying midfielder that we do not have right now. And the other thing that you could say is you're going to start Lucas Bergvall, right? I mean, it's hard to say that Lucas Bergvall isn't better than Bentancur at the moment, or even Archie Gray at the moment. So it's tough, man. I haven't necessarily appreciated much about the way that Thomas Frank is set up, especially midfield and offensively. I don't feel like we have an offensive identity at all. Our identity as a club seems to be, okay, don't lose. And I fucking hate that shit. So do most Tottenham fans.
That's really what I kind of want to dive into here as well, because, I mean, we've talked about the manager enough, but at a certain point, I do think that this can get, and look, longtime listeners of the Depot will know, I didn't think they really should have sacked Ange Postecoglou. I think this is always a project, and I think that once they did move on from Postecoglou, I got it. You gave the guy 2 years. They finished 17th. We know why, et cetera, et cetera. When you bring in a manager like Thomas Frank, I do think you need to give it time to develop, but it has been so dreadful. I mean, I didn't actually realize this until I saw the stat in The Athletic. This is Spurs' lowest points tally in the Premier League after 16 games since 2008. We're talking damn near 20
Scott
years.
Parker, bro. Fucking Scott Parker.
That is way worse than... I think it's even worse than it feels to some extent, but what you're talking about with identity, like even on some of the bad Spurs teams in recent years have had identity. And this team does not have one. And even if it doesn't have one, any little bit of, that to dare is to do mantra, that identity that Spurs have held for so long, that's being ripped away slowly. And I think that that's a really dangerous road to go down.
Buddy, somebody said, and we've talked about it before, it's like Mourinho without Kane and Son and Bale. Like,
that's
do you know what I mean? It hurts to watch the guys go out there and try real hard and just look like they have no fucking plan once they get into the final third, Andrew. Like, it doesn't look like there's plays being run. It doesn't look like it's like a heave and hope sort of approach. And I don't like, as much as everybody's been clamoring for Pochettino to come back over the last week or whatever, there were certain times where you just watch Rose and Walker just bomb down the wing and then just spam balls into the box and try to find Harry Kane's head. And like, I understood it and I got it, but there were some games where like fucking West Brom away and they pack, everybody in the team bus behind the ball and, you're just trying to spam balls in against, 8 dudes in the 6-yard box, and like there just wasn't a plan B. And I feel like with Thomas Frank, he's supposed to be this tactical mastermind that has the ability to adapt his game to his players that he has at his disposal. But either we have really shit players or we were sold a bill of goods on this guy, because he'll know more. He knows more about football than I'll ever, know, and it's not even remotely close. But it doesn't look like it with the way that we're playing right now, and I don't fucking know how to change that, Andrew.
You said it a second ago. It used to be that Spurs couldn't find a plan B, but right now it feels like Spurs don't have a plan A, and that's a big problem.
Yeah.
Liverpool next. Good luck.
Fucking criminy.
Liverpool visit N17 on Saturday, and I mean, could let me ask you this before we move off of the Forest game and open up the notebook a little bit. Let's just say Spurs go out and lose 3-0 on Saturday at home to Liverpool. Is that Thomas Frank's last match as Spurs manager? Like,
okay, well, let me ask
that
you.
actually happen?
I have some contextual questions to ask real quick. So if you have our schedule in front of us, who do we play after Liverpool? How much of a break is there? Because we don't have a Boxing Day game.
No, it's only an 8-day break. They will play this Saturday and then the following Sunday, and that match is, I believe, against Crystal Palace, but I will tell you here in a second. Yes, it is away to Crystal Palace on the 28th.
They'll probably wait until after we get smacked at Selhurst Park. Like if we lose 3-0
but then you only have a handful of days before you've got to go to, wait for it, Brentford. Do you want to take a trip to Brentford with Thomas Frank in tow?
Well, what's the game after that? Because isn't there a Champions League game after that?
No, Champions League does not come back until later in the month of January, not until the 20th. There are plenty of games, including an FA Cup tie at home to Villa before that. But
FA Cup tie at home to Villa. Okay, that was the other game that I was looking for. I was like waiting for it.
But they still play Sunderland at home before then. They play at Bournemouth before then, and they play home against West Ham before then. Like, there are still plenty more Premier League games.
Yeah, no, dude, I stand by it. They'll probably put something into the works, and if we get smacked at Liverpool, the preparations will be made, and then assuming we get smacked at Selhurst Park again, then he'll be gone, and they'll bring somebody in first of the year. Whether it's you promote somebody from within, or whether you have Xavi behind the scenes, or whatever the fuck it is that you're doing, you make a move there. This isn't sustainable. Like, this isn't sustainable. This job has looked too big for him the entire time. Like, there's no part of what's happening right now. Tottenham ages every manager, right? That's just part of the deal. Like, for whatever reason, we are a club that just, you get gray hairs when you come here. And like, you're starting to see it take its toll, and he is not weathering the storm particularly well, and our football is shit.
Well, and that's the other big problem. You mentioned it. Like, get someone new in here for the new year, but like, what also happens in January is the transfer window opens. Like, do you want this guy on board for whatever they're going to bring in the transfer window in January? Because we definitely feel like Spurs are going to be active in the transfer window. Like, I think
you have to be active in the transfer window. But like, what's a better selling point to a potential free agent? Hey, new manager bounce. We got this new hotshot manager, Justin Cock, will come in. He's ready. He's going to take over, and we have a chance to catch lightning in a bottle. But you're the missing piece. Like, I can sell that. But we've got this mad scientist, AP history teacher over here, who doesn't want to lose games but doesn't really know how to win them, from Brentford last year. And before that, I think he was coaching Danish girls. I don't know. It's not nearly the selling point that it would be if you had something new, I guess. Because you can't, let's say best case scenario, we get 2 points from the next 2 games. I don't see a world where we get more than that.
That's such a depressing thought. The one guy we know won't be replacing Thomas Frank is Matt Wells, as he is departing, heading on to MLS and joining the Colorado Rapids as their new head coach. So congrats to him on the gig. You also saw another former Spurs man heading to MLS too, in Sergio Reguilon this week. I know you had a little something to say about him.
He looks good in pink, and I wish him well.
Joining the MLS Cup champion, they're called Inter Miami, right?
They're Inter Miami.
This is proof as to how little I watch MLS. Sorry.
Listen, I have appreciation. I call it Barcelona West. That's just me, because like, it's Messi and freaking Luis Suarez and Busquets and all these guys. And anyway, no, man, I think Reguilon is MLS caliber. and I think he'll actually have a really nice career out here. To be honest with you, I
Good luck
think
defending Sonny.
well, no, I mean, right, but he's going to be hanging out in the Eastern Conference, right? Like, there's a few guys that can move, but it's not nearly the same as the level where Sergio Reguilon has played before. I mean, if we're being honest about it, like that guy's played in the Premier League, he's played in the Champions League, he's played in the Liga, like that
I
guy's
just
had
like
a,
I just like how Region was holding out for a team that's in the Champions League for so long, and now he's coming to MLS. I just think that's there's a little part of that that makes me smirk, and I'm not really proud of that part of me, but it is a part of me that smirks.
well, we had a conversation the other day about Reguilon, and I believe my quote was, the issue with Reguilon is he's just not good. And so, like,
that does tend to be the issue.
well, it's for it, but everything is contextual, right? So, like, he's not good for a top five league in Europe anymore, but the MLS is not a top five league in Europe, and people don't, wingers don't famously, wingers don't move like Nico Williams or like Heung-min Son at 28 in the Premier League. So.
Yeah.
Or in the MLS, excuse me.
While we're revisiting thoughts, I did, and you brought his name up a little bit earlier. I did want to just make mention of Yves Bissouma's comments this week. And look, he made them to the Sun, and I don't really agree with much of what the Sun puts out.
The newspaper, not the celestial being. For
Correct.
clarity.
Well, look, as a bald, fair-skinned ginger, I also don't agree with a lot of what the Sun puts out, but that's a totally different conversation. But the newspaper, The Sun, as well. Yves Bissouma had some comments this week. Of course, we all know he was once again videoed using the nitrous oxide, and he spoke about his drug use and his mental health struggles since being the victim of several break-ins that have cost him over £1 million in valuables recently, and he's apparently been going through it and is dealing with mental health struggles, addiction struggles, and stuff that I think, look, I've been very harsh on Yves Bissouma on this podcast. I've said, get out of my club. I don't want to see you anymore. Please just, and look, we all know that the signing of Yves Bissouma came with its own full bag of baggage. Like there was a lot going on there, and it's never been comfortable. But I did just want to say that I hope Yves Bissouma finds his way and gets the help that he needs, because mental health struggles are a real thing, and addiction is a real thing, and it's a thing that touches so many people's lives, including my own. I know plenty of people who deal with it and go through it, and it is not an enjoyable thing to be around or to have to experience. So I just hope that he gets himself right as a human, more so than a footballer, because that ship has sailed in my mind. I hope he gets right as a human.
Yeah. This is a perfect opportunity to remind all the folks out there, check on your people. Phone call goes a long way. Everybody's battling something you have no idea about. Give folks a call.
I think that's well said.
Yeah, Yves Bissouma, get fuck out of my club, but also please get the help you need.
Get out of my club and get the help you need. Like, it's a yes and situation.
Yeah, 100%. And I wish you well in the future. I hope good things happen for you, because you used to be a hell of a footballer.
No question about it. On the Spurs women's side of things this week,
Buddy.
Let's talk about the game first, because, gosh, this was... Look, we knew coming in these next 2 weeks, 2 matches away to Manchester United, this week in WSL play, next week in the quarterfinal of the League Cup. Spurs women came out and got absolutely battered in this match and led it 3-0 with 15 minutes to play. And it ended 3-3. And you say it all the time, Todd. There are a lot of draws that feel like wins, and we've seen Spurs get those before. This is a draw that felt like a loss. And it was really, really hard to watch.
Beth England scored a banger, though.
Oh my God, did she ever? and not only did Beth England score a banger, Olivia Holt delivered the ability for Beth England to score a banger, because she put a brilliant cross in, and Beth England just stepped up and whacked it in with her head.
Yeah, that's 2 weeks in a row, if I'm not mistaken.
It very much
so
is.
that's encouraging. My girl Amanda Nilden got absolutely smashed. It was not good news.
Well, everyone got smashed. I mean,
Yeah.
when you look at the statistical output from this game, Manchester United put 34 shots up in this game. That is,
Yeah, dude.
that's
Unheard
NHL
of.
hockey level shots.
Those are video game numbers,
That is
dude.
not a football match number of shots. 11 of those 34 shots on target, compared to Spurs getting only 4 of their 5 total shots on target. Now, when you get 4 shots on target and you put 3 of them in the net, that's not bad, but you got to keep them out of the net too. And like I said, with 15 minutes or so to play in this match, Spurs led 3-0. They had a 2-0 lead at half. And I just... there was a lot of encouraging words spoken by not only the manager, Martin Ho, but the players, too. I think the players were encouraged by this performance because of the way that they had a lead. But to lose it in the way that they did was really, really tough. And I think it's I think it's one of those draws that feels like a loss but can also be a moment of growth, because I do think you can learn a lot from a quote-unquote defeat like this.
You absolutely can, but to your very point, like, it was a super physical match. Justin Has isn't going to be back anytime soon, and we got to play him again in a week's time, right? Like, so I don't know. We'll see how they respond from this sort of challenge in the next match, and that'll tell you everything you need to know about this. Is it a growth moment, or is this just a sign that this is a step in the team's development? We're not quite ready yet. I don't know. We'll find out.
We will. We're going to find out very soon, because Sunday they'll do it again, and this time it's in the League Cup quarterfinal. As I mentioned, it will be the final match of the 2025 calendar year for Spurs Women. And it would be nice to knock United off and head to the semifinal of the League Cup. I think that would be a really cool. And look, we talked about this last week. You asked the question, and I think it was a pertinent question. It was not one I had thought about. Which would you rather have be victorious in? And I said, I think it's the Cup, because I think a Cup run would be really nice. And the path to a potential League Cup is there for Spurs if they can get this done. And look, again, I think you can turn this quote-unquote defeat, which was not actually a defeat, into a win, because now you have the confidence to know, hey, we just were in a game with them and played really well to an extent, had a lead with 15, 20 minutes to go. Let's go just repeat that performance, but fix the last 15 minutes of it. Like, if you can do that, you can get yourself into a semifinal of a cup, and I think that would be pretty cool.
Yeah, and I believe I concurred with your position on that. I think that, especially in the first year of a new coach, being able to make a deep cup run goes a long way to sustaining the philosophy of the team throughout the year and throughout the coming season. So, I like the idea of framing this as a big step in their development. I think now they know that they can play with Manchester United, person to person, and so as they go into this cup run, obviously the cup mentality is a little different than a league mentality, so it'll be interesting to see. I imagine it will be a little more pensive across the board, but I don't know. We'll see, man. It'll be interesting.
You brought it up. We won't see Just Naz for quite some time. The club did confirm a tear of the ACL last week, so you got to find it from somewhere. We did see Martha Thomas get the start in this match and scored a goal. That seems like where the offense is going to have to come in replacement of Just Naz. But you hope also that the January window will be active for the women too, and that they only made 2 signings, and they were 2 important signings in the summer. And of course, one of those signings has been injured now too, and we're waiting for Tinka Tamberg to hopefully return in the new year as well. But you hope that will be a move that they can make. Spurs Women did make a signing of sorts this week as well, in signing Drew Spence to a quote long-term contract. Now, we don't really know what that means. I don't know how long-term a contract can be for a 33-year-old, but they have given Drew Spence a long-term deal. And I think even though you're talking about a player of her age, I think that this is a really positive veteran that has honestly had a great season and is really making things tick in that midfield. And I think it's a great vote of confidence that you can keep a player like that around for, again, whatever long term certainly means.
Well, I think at this stage in Drew Spence's career, she's thinking, past football, or at least past a playing career, and being an established Tottenham Hotspur ambassador is a great way to transition out of a playing career. So if this ends up being her last contract, that I don't think that would surprise anybody, and that could mean that we see her presence around for a long time. And I think that would only serve the football club well.
I mentioned the kind of awkwardness of Spurs playing away to Manchester United twice in a row, once in the league, once in the cup. Spurs are also going to get that coming out of the new year because they are going to face Leicester City in the league at home on January 11th. And they're going to turn around the following weekend and face them at home in the FA Cup, as they've been drawn against the Foxes as well. So we're going to get to this 4-game stretch for Spurs will include 2 different opponents, and both of them two away at United, 2 at home against Leicester. That's just funny. Kind of the way it broke. So we'll see that play out over the coming weeks for Spurs Women as well. We will be back with you next week. We're going to discuss all the happenings and pray that. I don't know, that Mo Salah doesn't play on Saturday and break our hearts. I don't know what's going on there either. Like, there's just so much drama with Liverpool coming in. It feels like there's drama on their end. It feels like there's drama on our end. There's just drama, and we'll be here to talk about it. That's at least the positive that we have for you all. And yeah, I think that's all we got this week. And a happy Hanukkah to everyone. I should have said that earlier at the start. We're right in the midst of Hanukkah. With Christmas coming after and Kwanzaa right after that. So it's that time of year, my friend. There's only a couple more pods left in calendar year 2025, so we will embrace each one of them.
It's been a good one. Thanks to everyone for sticking around with us, even when Spurs are shit. That's it, buddy.
Thanks for listening, folks. Be sure to check out the episodes on the YouTube page, youtube.com/Tottenham Depot. Leave us a rating and review on your podcast app of choice to help spread the word about the show. You can follow Todd at TC_Show. You can follow me at Astetka. Most importantly, follow us at Tottenham Depot. This has been the Tottenham Depot podcast. As always, come on, you Spurs.